This video is about measuring length in customary units. Customary units are the ones that we use here in the United States for the most part, not grams or meters or liters or anything like that. But we're going to measure length in customary units. The first thing you need to know is what is a linear unit. Linear units are used to measure length, width, height, and distance. There are things that for the most part they're in a line, and you can measure the length of something straight across or the width of something straight across. We're going to talk about several of them. The first that we're going to talk about is an inch. And this definition is important. An inch is about the length of your thumb from the first knuckle to the tip. So from here to here, that's about an inch. Another way to kind of look at it is on your pointer finger, from there to there, that's about an inch also. We use an inch to measure smaller objects such as pencils or books. So when it's something that's smaller, it's not very big, we're going to want to use the inch. Our next definition is the foot. A foot is about the length of a sheet of paper. A person's height, or the length of a room, is measured in feet. So if someone asks you, how tall are you? You can say, oh, I'm 4'1", or I'm 4'2", or I'm 3'3", and you're kind of short. Okay? But that's what a foot is measured, is used to measure the height of a person or the length of a room. More definitions. Two more that we're going to have to know about. The next one is a yard. A yard is about the length of a baseball bat. So if you've ever held a baseball bat, that's about a yard long. Most of the time you're going to hear about the length of a football field is being measured in yards. He made a 30-yard pass. It's 100 yards from one goal line to another. They're on the 50-yard line. So that's measuring a football field. The last one is a mile. A mile is about the distance you can walk in 20 minutes. Now, just the average person keeping on walking, not just strolling along and not jogging. Some people can run a mile in 4 minutes or 6 minutes. But just a casual walk, in about 20 minutes you can go about a mile. The distance a person travels in a car is measured in miles. So between here and your home, here at school and your home, you would tell me how many miles you live from school. Now these are some important equivalent measures that you're going to have to know when you're measuring things and when you need to change them into a different unit. Okay, so the equivalent measures, 1 foot, and I've put the abbreviation here for each of these. FT is foot. 1 foot equals 12 inches, and the abbreviation for inches is just IN. 1 yard, that's abbreviated YD, equals 3 feet, and again, I've abbreviated feet for you. 1 mile, it's abbreviated MI, but this one's fine. 1 mile equals 1,760 yards. Or, this is always the challenge question, 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. But these equivalent measures are very important as you begin to measure things, and you might need to change the units that you've used to measure. So let's do some converting of linear units since we know our equivalent measures now. Here's the first example. If I ask you 5 feet equals how many inches? So I've told you something is 5 feet long, and I want you to tell me how many inches long is that. Well, you could get out your ruler again and count all your inches, or you could do it this way. We know that a foot is larger than an inch. Foot, inch. And when you change larger units to smaller units, you're going to need more of those smaller units, so you're going to need to multiply. So when you go from a larger unit, feet, to smaller unit, inches, well, it's going to take more inches than it took feet, so you're going to have to multiply. So when you need more, multiply. Here's an example. Our 5 feet equals how many inches? Here's my feet. I have 5 of those. multiply it by inches in 1 foot. How many inches in 1 foot? 12. 12. And this is going to give me my total number of inches. So if I have 5 feet times 12 inches, it's going to give me a total of 60 inches. So my answer would be 5 feet equals 60 inches. Example 2. This is a different way you can convert. Sometimes the numbers get big when you're talking about lots of inches and lots of yards and lots of feet. So my question to you is, how many yards are in 10,560 feet? What? You need to think about it a little differently. What is the conversion that I'm looking for? I need to know 10,560 feet equals how many yards? So sometimes it helps to rewrite that question so that you can better answer it. Now, this one's different because when you change smaller units, feet, to larger units, yards, you need fewer of the larger units, so divide. So if I'm going from smaller to bigger, I need to divide. Now this is a really big number, 10,560, and I've got to go to yards, and I've got feet, and I've got to convert it. You can use your calculator on this one. You can divide 10,560 by 3. Well, why am I dividing it by 3? Why am I dividing it by 3? How many feet in 1 yard? 3. So if I've got to change feet to yards, I've got to divide however many feet I have by how many feet are in 1 yard to get my answer. So you can divide 10,560 by 3 with your calculator, and you're going to press the 1, the 0, but there's not a comma. Remember, 5, 6, 0, your division sign, then the 3, and then you have to press enter to get your answer. So 10,560 divided by 3 equals 3,520. Well, you could do it on paper too, I'm sure. But with this big number, I'll let you use the calculator. So 10,560 feet is the same as 3,520 yards. That's a lot of yards. Okay, and here we have example 3. You can use an equation to change your units. When you've measured and you've measured in 1 unit and you want to change it to a different unit, you can also use an equation, and it looks pretty fancy too. So we're going to use the equation y equals f divided by 3 to complete this table. So I've taken some measurements and I've taken them in feet, but I want to know how many yards there are. So in my equation, y equals yards, that makes sense, and f equals feet. Make it simple, right? So I've got my chart, I have my measurements I've taken in feet, but I can only buy the materials that I need in yards, so I need to convert this to yards. So I've rewritten my equation, y equals f divided by 3 here, and now I'm going to solve out for this side of my table. Y equals, all I've done, where there was an F, I'm going to pull my number for feet and I'm going to put it in place of the F. So that's where the 24 comes from there. Bring down my divided by 3. So my equation is y equals 24 divided by 3. Well, 24 divided by 3 is 8. So y equals 8. That means I have 8 yards. 24 feet equals 8 yards. Do another one. I've measured and I have 30 feet. How many yards do I have? Again, there's my y equals f. Well, 30 is my f, so I'm going to put it in my equation. Divided by 3. So y equals, well, what's 30 divided by 3? 10. So I can put 10 on my table. My last one is feet. I've measured something, it's 36 feet long, but I can only buy what I need in yards, so I have to convert it. So again, I have y equals, I'm wanting to find what y is, so y equals f, that's my feet, 36. My equation says to divide that by 3. So y equals, well, 36 divided by 3, that's a basic multiplication fact. 36 divided by 3 is 12. So I put 12 on my chart. And this is how you use an equation to convert and find equivalent measurements.